Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, another edition of Black Box Beat. We've got a lot for you today, a packed show. So, welcome, everybody. I'm Kang.
I'm Maria.
And I'm Hells.
All right, we've got a lot going on this week, huh? We've got Nvidia releasing this afternoon, along with some of the other software names. We've got Jackson Hole at the end of the week. We've had a lot of data. So I'm going to go ahead and give out the earnings that we have so far. We've got, I think, 3 of them: Autodesk, Snow, and NTAP. We'll get through those and then we'll get started. So Autodesk reported Q2 non-GAAP EPS $1.91 on a consensus of $1.72. Q2 revenue $1.3 billion on a consensus of $1.32 billion. So that is a slight miss on revenue. They see Q3 revenue $1.38 to $1.4 billion on a consensus of $1.38. So that is slightly higher. And full year 24 revenue $5.41 to $5.46 billion on a consensus of $5.41 billion. So guidance a little bit better there for ADSK. Does anyone know if we're up or down after hours there on ADSK? I actually didn't have that one pulled up. Let's see.
It is up.
Oh,
It
nice.
pushed through 20, and then we're getting a wick. I think it might be one of those balancing wicks back down to close, but it is up about 8%, maybe something like that, give or take.
Nice. The next is Snow. Snow reported Q2 EPS 22 cents on a consensus of 10 cents. Q2 revenue $674 million on a consensus of $662.2 million. That is a beat. And they reported Q2 net revenue retention rate of 142%. They reported Q2 had 402 customers with a trailing 12-month product revenue greater than 1 million. They see Q3 product revenue up 28 to 29% from last year at 670 to 675 million. And they back full year 24 product revenue of 2.6 billion, up 34% from last year. That's actually a pretty decent ER, at least from the preliminary numbers. I think we'll need to hear their conference call just to kind of get a better idea of what's going on there. And then
That's
NTAP.
a little dip, and then a dip, and then back to flat on those results.
Okay. And then NTAP reported Q1 EPS $1.15, consensus $1.07. Q1 revenue $1.43 billion on a consensus of $1.41 billion. That is a beat. And they see Q2 EPS $1.35 to $1.45, consensus $1.37, and they are backing their full year 24 EPS view of $5.65 to $5.85 on a consensus of $5.71. So overall, not too bad are the first 3. So I'm actually really curious to see what happens with Nvidia, but I know we've got a lot to go over. Let's get started with chat room chatter. What do y'all got?
I know. I was gonna say on Nvidia, man. I'm scratching my neck just like everybody else. I
Right?
can't wait. It won't be long, though,
Exactly.
folks. It won't be long. Hey, this week, I mean, Nvidia is like the most anticipated ER that I can remember in a long time because so much hinges on it. We got AI going on. Everybody is going to be watching to see, is this like a referendum on, the whole AI thing? Does it have legs? Well, I really am going to be one to watch their guidance. There's like this CFO start to really talk about that backlog and stuff like that. And then, the other thing this week is, and hey, I've been dying. Anybody that knows me knows I've been dying to say this. What comes out of Jackson's Hole? Like, what comes out of Jackson Hole? Like, this is the only time you get to make this joke during the year, folks. So, what comes out of the hole?
It's been killing him all day. He's been itching to say that all day long. He really has.
I'll admit it. Yeah. What's coming out of it?
Historically, nothing good.
Right.
Over the past several years, nothing good has come out of Jackson's Hole at all.
So you're saying it could be stinky?
I'm saying it could be messier than what we normally get out of Powell, which is hard to imagine. So he has a tendency when the stakes are high to sit there and crap himself. So I'm assuming that he's going to do the same here at Jackson Hole. Why would that be any different for Mr. Powell?
I'm with you.
This is the most anticipated hole.
You got any more? They've written down that you need to work through. We just get them all out now. Okay?
Hey, everybody's looking forward to the hole. Comes at the end of the week. Let's get it going.
Yeah.
We had some other. Oh no, go. We have some other headlines. We have mortgage numbers come out. U.S. 30-year mortgage rate soared to highest since 2000, which is crazy because if you remember back in 2000, that's when initially that's when interest rates bottomed out. So it's kind of interesting to see that we're back up to that level, which wasn't high. I mean, it's not high compared to the 80s when people were paying 17, 18, 19% interest on a mortgage. And when we dropped to even 5% on a 30-year back in early 2000s, that was a great thing. So that was a headline that I know a lot of people were talking about all week. What do you guys think?
I think that you could get a house for 300,000 back then, and now that same house probably is pushing 700,000.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
easily,
So
easily.
it's like from a relative standpoint, it's not that you can't do apples to apples in this situation. It's like, no, it's like at this point, home buying is more out of reach than it's ever been for the largest segment of the population to ever exist in the history of this country. And I don't know that that's a good thing.
And that's actually, if you look at that headline, U.S. home purchase applications hit lowest level since 1995, which makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rates are high,
Mm-hmm.
people are not buying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy when you do the math. It's like if you do the math and you go back to when we were still messing around in the pandemic, and you could get 2, 3, 4% on a loan, and you look at your monthly payment as far as what it would be, and then you look at it now, it's like it is egregious what you're getting for the exact same home and what you're paying in interest. It's crazy. It is really, really. I feel for those who are not able to get in, and I feel for those that are out there looking right now. I think it's a very unfortunate situation.
I agree. What do you think,
Mm-hmm.
Kang? Anything to add? What about consumer
Yeah,
sentiment,
yeah. No, I mean it's just very,
stuff like that?
very much out of reach. Very much out of reach. And but we had low rates for a long time, and now it seems like the pendulum just swinging in the opposite direction for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
If only they were right, and inflation was transitory, then we wouldn't be here. If only they would have gotten it right. It's like amazing. It would be so amazing if they got it right, but they didn't. So here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before we get into Shag Mary Kill, I do have just a couple more earnings that we can go over before Nvidia. We'll get those out of the way. And Splunk, I've got Splunk. Splunk reports Q2 adjusted EPS 71 cents on a consensus of 45 cents. They reported Q2 revenue 911 million on a consensus of 885.97 million. That's a beat. They see Q3 revenue 1.02 1.035 billion on a consensus of 981.34 million. So that is also a guide up. And they raised full year 24 revenue view to 3.925 to 3.95 billion from 3.9 billion on a consensus of 3.9 billion. So slight guide up there, but Splunk also looking, as far as earnings are concerned, not too bad, and they're looking pretty nice after hours.
Nice pop.
Nice pop. And then Guess reports Q2 EPS 72 cents, consensus 40 cents, revenue 665 million on a consensus of 640.5 million. That is a beat for Guess. I don't have any comp sales numbers out from them yet, and they see Q3 revenue up 2.5 to 4.5% on a consensus of 661.4 million. So that's a retailer doing fairly strong. Also a
I'm
nice
dating
pop after
myself. I'm dating myself here. I'll be completely honest with you. I did not know that Guess was even still around. Like
What?
I did
What do
not
you mean?
even know. I didn't even know that they were still around. I think like acid wash jeans and like aviator sunglasses that were like broke as soon as you put them on.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and get into Shag Mary Kill. I know we've got a little bit of time. Favorite time of the show.
For
What
me,
you got?
folks, I guess I'm first up this week. Cash City. I mean, we've got like Nvidia with this referendum on AI that's coming out today. Who in the hell knows which way that's going to go? I'm sure it's going to have an outsized impact on the S&P and the rest of the market and some people's accounts. But for me, it's cash. And then we got this whole thing, this whole scenario going on Friday. It's just a whole lot of stuff going on. So I'm just cash.
Yeah, and I can go pretty quick in here and call it cash also, for myself. And I agree with you. I think when you have an ER like Nvidia, we remember the last time they reported, they lifted all boats with their pop and rip. They absolutely shredded
Hmm.
everything to the upside. So when you have a ticker that can move the entire market on sentiment alone, you kind of have to, be a little bit careful in what you're doing. I do have a plan post Jackson Hole is to kind of look to get short retail. That's something that I'm going to try to make a point of. So your Home Depots, your Targets, your that type of stuff. I'm going to look to kind of make a move, and we got a pop coming in here
Huge
right
pop. I'm
now.
waiting for
Yeah,
those
Pop
numbers.
City, Pop City. Whoa, to the upside. Woo.
Let's go. I wish we could show
Yo,
that
it
chart
is
live. That's a
moving.
beautiful pop. Nvidia closing price was what, 460 something, 469 ish. Now over 500 in the after hours market. So once
471.
those numbers
Yeah.
come out, I will give them out. Let's see if maybe we can get through Shag, Marry, Kill, and then we'll get to Nvidia. As far as cash is concerned, Kang, I'm with you. I agree. Cash is good right now. I think we're all distracted. We're like, hey. All right, my turn. How'd you like that? All right,
Woo.
Apple. So my pick is Apple. This is a Shag. Last week they bought the September 29th 180 calls with almost 2 million behind it. I like this play for a run up into their product event, which is going to be September 24th. Historically, Apple likes to run into that event, and then it will sell off. From a technical standpoint, I like the spot that they picked those up at. It was right over that 170-ish support. And Apple's been mostly moving up ever since. OI still looks good with most of that position still open and slightly actually ticking upward as after that initial, it looks like there was a little bit of a drop off in the OI, but then it's starting to pick back up. But majority of the position is still open. I'm not worried about that. And we are up, last I saw, about 75, 80%, if not more, on those. So I do plan on holding these until the event. It is a Shag for me. Just a reminder, because I keep getting asked all day long. It's like those Apple 220s. You still hold an Apple? I am still an Apple, I promise. But you never have to wait for any of us, any of your team traders to exit a trade. If you like your profit, take your money. If you do not like the risk that you're seeing or the red that you're seeing in your account, cut that position. You never have to wait for us. So Shag for me on Apple.
Yeah,
I
Apple has
like
been
it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, King.
I was just like, I like it. So I'm rolling with you.
Yeah, Apple has been absolutely Superman over the last several days with the run that it's made, and a lot of points you could look at the overall market kind of dipping and sagging, and Apple is sitting there absolutely in beast mode, putting the entire market on its back and running. It's going to be look. I love the play when he put it out there because it's Apple. I think still even now there's more room to the upside. We can't wait to get into these Nvidia numbers to see exactly what's going on, and then back on the other side of Jackson Hole to see what type of continuation we can actually get with some of these runs. But once again, Maria, great trade. Great
Thank you.
trade.
Thank you. Your turn.
My turn. My turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah,
I
man.
know he's looking at Nvidia's chart. He's like, what's that?
I am cash. I am cash for the most part at this point. As far as new positions that I'm putting on, I haven't put anything new on in a while. I'm looking to get through Jackson Hole for the main reason that I really am looking to possibly capitalize on some of this weakness that I think that we could be seeing going into the Christmas months as far as retail shopping is concerned. So those are going to be some of the things that I'm going to be looking at getting short after Jackson Hole. I think the messaging is going to be very consistent, rates longer for higher. I think there's going to be more pressure put on the consumer. I think the odds of us getting an uptick in unemployment is very, very likely. With that being said, I don't know if I buy out to the next earnings cycle if some of these ERs on these unnecessary retailers are going to hold up. So that's going to be my plan after Jackson Hole next week, going into next year, is opening up some downside positions there on those guys.
I like it. I'll ride with you. Real quick, before we go to viewer question, let's go ahead and get NVIDIA out there since I know everyone is dying to hear that one. Just as a quick check, Qs are at highs right now after hours. NVIDIA well over 510 right now, again closing in the 470 area for the day, now over 510. So huge move there. NVIDIA reported Q2 EPS $2.70, consensus $2.09. Q2 revenue $13.51 billion on a consensus of $11.22 billion. That is a very nice beat. NVIDIA reported Q2 data center revenue of $10.32 billion, up 171% from last year. So they reported record data center revenue. for the reporting quarter. Nvidia sees Q3 revenue 16 billion plus or minus 2%, consensus 12.61 billion, which I believe will be a guide up for them. So as far as I can see, at least for the time being, Nvidia looks good. Keep in mind, we got to get through the conference call. We all know what can happen on conference calls. So we do have to get through the conference call. But as of this moment, although giving back slightly, which is to be expected after hours, people are going to take profit, right? Nvidia looks great. And we've got Nvidia approves additional 25 billion buyback. What do y'all think? Initial thoughts?
I think I just caught 25 points shorting the NQ.
That's conference call.
That's what I think. Off that pop, that's but that's I don't know in any capacity how Nvidia holds over 500 going into tomorrow. I look, I'll have to get into the numbers, but what has not already been accounted for? What has not already been priced in? It's like that. That's the biggest thing that I can look at, and just based off of the premium alone that I saw coming in. If this thing does not open up over 500 tomorrow, there's going to be so much call flow that is absolutely slaughtered. And God forbid it opens up below where they are now. The amount of money that's going to be dead is unbelievable as far as the upside money that was pumping in. So very, very cautious on this, especially going to Jackson Hole. What environment do we have to where a higher rate environment or higher for longer, even if they stay where they are good for these companies, especially when it comes to tech. And how does that count moving forward? I hate having to have that narrative and outlook, but it's like shit. It's like they're giving me no choice. They give me no choice but to view it through this lens. And I hate this lens that I have right now.
Okay. I'm just kidding. We were all happy and excited. Thanks. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, let's go on to viewer question. NVIDIA's out, ERs are done. We've gone over all of them for the day. So viewer question. Hells, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
All right, viewer question from Julian. Julian has a question. Has the froth been taken out of the markets, or are bears still looking for apocalypse with 3,500? All right, I'll start off here. Okay, this is a very loaded question, right? But in order to get to 350, you have to get to 420, 4,200. Then you have to get to 4,000. Then you have to get to 3,800. So there's a lot of steps in between there. I don't know that the froth is worn off. I think the perma bears will always be the perma bears. I think the individuals that are looking at the market and trying to be smart about it are going, you know what? It's a little bit hot. Earnings weren't all that great. If the messaging out of Jackson Hole indeed is higher for longer, we don't give a shit. Have a horrible Christmas. If that's the messaging that Powell has for everybody, then I think that we get closer to 400 than we get 500 over the next several months, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in the same. I would just say the froth has not been taken out of the market yet. Although we don't see some trash names like CVNA and a few things bouncing like we did in July, I think the froth is still there. You still have it, right? So people are willing to buy anything right now that they think is going to move to the upside. Namely, this look at this Nvidia run, the past few days, right? So I would just say and I'm with Hells. There's some key technical levels that are below. So to get to 3,500, I mean, a lot of stuff would have to happen. And I just don't really see us getting down that far. 4,200 would be your most immediate test of key support there. And we've got a little ways, down from here to even get there. So I do think looking into the fall, you are going to run into some headwinds. We already have started to see credit card delinquencies tick up slightly. Also, you're starting to see a measured increase now in auto repossessions. Student loan, repayments are going to come due, average around $400 per person in October. So I do think that you're going to have some headwinds that hit us in the fall. And also we're about to start a historically volatile season. So with all those things in the mix, I do think you do have some headwinds out there in the recipe for, us as traders to capitalize off of some range. So looking forward to the fall.
I agree with
Yeah.
both of you. I don't know if I see 3,500 coming. There's a lot of levels that have to be hit before we get down to 3,500.
But we are getting COVID noise again, so I don't know. Maybe we need to do the rice and
Maybe.
beans and mask up and full bodysuit condoms and the whole thing. It's like they're beating the drum again.
If that gets out of hand again, I am bum rushing somebody for some toilet paper. I learned, I'm going straight for the toilet paper.
Are you kidding me? I want my check. I want my STEMI. I want my money. I want to play 0-day options with STEMI money. Is what I want.
I mean, you got to get the toilet paper first. What are you going to wipe your ass with?
Huh? Well, I
Well,
live in
since
the
we're
middle of
talking,
nowhere, dude. It's like I got plenty of trees and leaves. Fall's coming. It's like
Okay.
I got lots of leaves.
Well,
well,
just
since
don't
we're
wipe it
talking
with the
about
shiny.
COVID, since we're talking about COVID, let's go ahead and get Missouri Sooners question answered. Kang, you want to go ahead and take that one?
How will the market react to COVID-19 part 2? Right now, it seems like yawn city. I mean, it seems like another variant. I mean, we had what, Omicron and Dragon Con and all this other stuff. Like, I mean, I don't know. I've lost count on the number of variants at this point, but so far it's just yawning until further notice.
What do you think, House?
But look, I think the same. I know the way I look at it is I literally will have to see people bleeding out of their eyes and assholes to literally put myself in a position to where I'm gonna go get vaxxed. I'm gonna put a body condom on to go shopping. It's like that. I'm gonna have to see some pretty outrageous things in order to go through the same thing that they put us through last time. Outrageous things in the street. I have to see.
And I have to agree. I think as far as the market is concerned, I think that we've been through it once. We made it through it. I think that that was a big test to all of the major corporations out there, companies out there, of themselves to say, hey, we can handle, extreme circumstances for them, extreme circumstances. So I think that if anything, it will be handled better. I think that a lot of companies now have the processes in place to handle a COVID if they do have to do any kind of shutdowns or anything like that, which, I think I'll lose my mind if that were to happen again. But I think that a lot of the companies now do have all the technology, the processes put in place to get through that again. So I think it'll be handled better. I don't think the market would react quite as drastically. And then our last question is from Sanders. Sanders' question is, what is your least favorite stock to trade? I've got a lot. Anything oil tends to make me angry. I'm going to go with sector because there's too many. So I'm going to go with sector. Oil is definitely one of my least favorite to trade. And also some of the casino stocks, I don't have fun trading. Like every time I buy LVS, even though like I'll follow flow, I'm like, why did I buy this? It makes me mad every time just because of how it moves.
Don't disagree. It's like for me, I'd have to say, just because I'm so emotionally charged when it comes to Netflix, Netflix would be the one for me. I can't see past what I believe their model is. So whenever I see that there's a green candle in any capacity, it could be trading at $5 and it went to 505. I'd be angry as hell just because I don't understand what it is about their model that gives them that market cap. So Netflix for me is very difficult. Anytime I look at it and it's up at all, I'm just like, what's wrong with people? Are people really that dumb? But apparently, for the most part, recently, I'm the dumb one because being long Netflix has been great. So there you have it. I don't trade it.
To round out mine, it's Amazon. She used to move a lot, and before that 20-to-1 split, it was banking, awesome. And hey, now she split. She got married. She don't do nothing freaky no more. So I got spoiled. So I don't like trading Amazon anymore. So we hear the music, folks. We know what that means. It is coming here to the end of the show. Please like and subscribe on our Facebook on our YouTube page. Hey, it's Wednesday, folks. Brain dead. And that way, if you subscribe, you'll be notified when we go live on future episodes. Glad to have you this week. And until next week, everybody stay green. Peace.
Bye, guys. See you later.
See you guys later.